What's up, everybody? Josh Armijo here. I hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an album review to do for you, and I'm going to show it to you right now. This is the debut album from the band Ineffable Demise, entitled Beyond the Marrow Gates. This is released on Reality Fade Records. Now, if you're not too familiar with this band, they are based out of the United States and Europe, and the best way to describe the sound of this band would be a very dark, traditional, fantasy-driven style of brutal death metal. Yeah. This is another one of those very intriguing brutal death metal supergroups, gathering people from many different bands, many different styles, coming together to create something brand new. And this is quite a unique pairing of people, because you have people like James Schuster, whom you may know best for his work as the vocalist of Delusional Parasitosis, Chris Stratton, whom you may know as a bassist for Iniquitous Deeds, plus you have people like Tom Allott and Roman Knox, whom you may know respectively from their works with Scat Orgy, Lethality, Byonoisegenerator, respectively. Those are all really, really solid, top-notch bands, and them coming together to create music brought forward a lot of unique, different possibilities. Not to mention the fact that this album has some very interesting lyrical ideas and content, because from what I read about this band, they took inspiration from a video game and comic book series called Shadow Man. I believe it was a comic book series first, and then it became a very popular video game for like the Nintendo 64 and Sega Dreamcast. Pretty much, I'm not too familiar with the comic book. But what I could gather, it had a lot to do with voodoo, Dark Souls, dragons, all that sort of shit. And finding out that this was going to be the basis for a full-length album, I was intrigued to hear how things were going to work out. And now here we are with the debut full-length from Ineffable Demise, entitled Beyond the Marrow Gates. It's 9 tracks, and it clocks in at around 26 minutes in length, so pretty much once you listen to this album, it's going to be a quick breeze. You're going to fly right by through it, but they make the most of their time with this full-length album, and there is a lot to sink into and enjoy with this record. Lots and lots of crazy riffs to be heard. From the minute you hear the riffs on the track Limbo, and then later on with songs like Conflagration, Playrooms, Pummel, you get some really top-notch guitar playing going on here. The riffs are very frantic, very chaotic sounding, very much in tune with the whole darkness, fantasy sort of themes that you're going to get throughout the majority of this record. I think every riff, every sound, the way that everything is played just sounds great. The bass work is incredibly clear and audible. I love how everything sounds throughout this record. I definitely feel that this bass guitar tone has a means and ways of captivating your attention, in addition to being something to solidly line up with the heavy riffs that this album already has and contains with. The drum work on here is very solid, very blast beat heavy, a lot of fills, very raw sounding. It doesn't have that clean sort of natural, it sounds natural, but it doesn't have that clean sort of sound to it, so you can tell what type of a drum performance this is. I think it's a really solid drum performance. It definitely maintains the pace throughout this record. This is a very short record, but all these drum performances go by at a very brisk pace. The blast beats, the fills, just the overall syncopation of the drums sounds really wonderful, and I love how everything sounds here. And when it comes to the vocals, of course, I consider James Schuster to be the cream of the crop, the undisputed king of the vocals when it comes to brutal death metal. His voice is easily pound for pound the best in the industry, and his vocals on here are pretty much what you would know and expect from how he does it. Very, very super low, guttural, undecipherable vocals. Pretty much his standard traditional sort of style, and it sounds very, very awesome here. I love the way his vocals are. I love the way everything is delivered. He just has that certain charisma and detail when it comes to doing his type of vocal style. Of course, there are lots of brutal death metal vocalists who incorporate that really low, deep, gurgly, guttural sort of vocal style, but James makes it sound so special. I really appreciate what he's doing here, and especially going into the lyrical themes and contents of this idea. I mean, like I said, this is pretty much fantasy video game inspired stuff. The lyrics are pretty much over the top, having to do with, like, death, dragons, fire, all that sort of crazy shit. I think this is fun and very, very much refreshing from what you would normally hear on a brutal death metal record. I really like this type of shit, and I think it's awesome to read along to and listen to. So overall, incredibly impressive debut featuring people from the brutal death metal underground who know exactly what they're talking about. And if you're a fan of all these people's respective projects, you will find something to enjoy with Ineffable Demise. This is a very, very impressive debut. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you a link in the description box as to how you can get a hold of this album and listen to it. I will leave you a link to the Reality Fade Records Bandcamp page where you can listen to this album in its entirety, hear it for yourself, and be your own judge as to whether you think it's worthy of being purchased or not. You can stream it, buy it digitally, and it is available physically as a CD. There you see this artwork here, credits, Pro CD. There's also t-shirt options available. If you live in the United States, I'm pretty sure you can get it directly through the band. I'm pretty sure there are other U.S. distros that carry Reality Fade releases, and it goes without saying, it's been long overdue for me to do a review for a Reality Fades Records release here on this channel, because I know they're one of the more newer, top-notch sort of brutal death metal labels going right now. They have put out nothing but consistency with their releases, and I'm excited to see what this label puts out next. So, again, the album is Beyond the Marrow Gates by Ineffable Demise. This is released on Reality Fade Records. Go check this one out. And for a score, I'm going to give this a very strong 8.5 out of 10. Very, very impressive debut. And if you happen to have heard this album, definitely let me know what you think about it and how you feel about it. Or any of you guys into Ineffable Demise, definitely let me know. I'm going to conclude this review. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel. And until the next time, Army Ho out.